Alright everybody, I'm going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid in this episode. Well, Metal Gear Solid, it is one of my favorite video game series of all time. But, you know, sometimes the story just gets a little too confusing for me. I don't know if I'll be spoiling anything or not, but just in case, you know, be aware. Now, Metal Gear Solid, mainly all of its games are on Sony systems. PlayStation 2 holds Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Metal Gear Solid, the original, can be played on the PlayStation 1, or the Twin Snakes version can be played on the GameCube, although I do recommend the PlayStation 1 version. And Metal Gear Solid 4, as most people know, is on the PlayStation 3. And I think, you know, Metal Gear 2 are played on older systems. I don't know exactly which one Metal Gear 2 is played on, but I know Metal Gear, the original, is played on the NES and all that stuff. And then Peace Walker, which is coming out, or just came out, whatever, and Portable Ops are for the PSP. There are a bunch of games in the Metal Gear series, like Kingdom Hearts in the previous episode. Unlike Kingdom Hearts, though, this game has so much better things. You know, everything about it is better. Besides the addicting gameplay. I mean, stealth isn't really my style of gameplay, but I'm still pretty good at it. It's pretty fun. I like shooting guys from a distance with a tranquilizer. It's always fun. The graphics, amazing. That's all I have to say. The soundtrack, whoa. It's amazing, certainly amazing. My favorite song from Metal Gear Solid 2, which is called Twilight Sniping. It's when you're sniping those enemies to protect Emma. That's my favorite song of Metal Gear Solid 2, and I played it as my intro song, if you guys didn't know. I don't know if it's still playing now. It's a 3-minute song. I don't know how far I am into the video yet. I'm too lazy to look. And I do have an order of favorite games in the series, though. My favorite game in the series is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Or Subsistence. I have the Subsistence version, but it's still called Snake Eater. It's my favorite game in the series because I love the story. I love how the boss betrays Snake, goes to the Russians, but it's all just a trick, just to trick the Russians, the Soviets, whatever. No, I'm not against Russians or anything. I just love the storyline, but you know, the end was amazing. Snake versus the boss. I loved it. It was tear-jerking. It really was. The end almost actually made me cry. I think I did cry a couple tears, but it's a sad game. It's very depressing, but it's very actiony. It's a very good storyline. You get to see the early days of Metal Gear Solid. That's right, it's like 40 years before the original Metal Gear Solid, or something like that. 30 years, 20 years, I don't know. And then my second favorite game of the series would have to be Metal Gear Solid 2. I love it so much. Not as much as Metal Gear Solid 3, but it introduced a lot of things to the series. Like, you know, rolling, cartwheeling, whatever Raiden does. And then the new and improved graphics from Metal Gear Solid 1. And the soundtrack was amazing in Metal Gear Solid 2. That's the game that probably has my favorite soundtrack in. And, you know, everything about Metal Gear Solid 2 is pretty much great, other than the fact that there's a lot of backtracking. It's a very small area to make, like, an 8-hour game in. Which is actually why I don't really like Metal Gear Solid as much as other games. It's because of the overdoing the cutscenes and stuff. Not enough gameplay. But it doesn't really matter because each Metal Gear Solid has a very, very good gameplay system. Even though it's almost the same thing, but Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 4 are quite different from the rest. Well, almost all of them are different from the whatever. But everything is pretty much different. It all has the same goal, to be stealthy and get through the game. Don't get caught. But before I get sidetracked, I'm going to move on. My third favorite game in the series is Metal Gear Solid 4, no doubt about it. I mean, I may not like Metal Gear Solid 4 as much as the other games, but it's still really, 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 really good. I mean, it was amazing. All the time of gameplay that you get for it is worth it. I only played for 6 hours. I counted, yeah, I kept track. And all the cutscenes, wow, it's like a movie. It really is. It's just, one of those amazing games, but they overdid it with the cutscenes just a little bit too much. I would have loved to have more gameplay. It was amazing. I loved customizing my guns and, using the special tranquilizers that make the guards insane and stuff. It's actually a pretty sad game too at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything because even though mainly a lot of people know it, but I just don't want to spoil it in case of people bitching at me. And then my least favorite in the series, but still very, very good, Metal Gear Solid 1. It's for the PlayStation, and again, Twin Snakes for the GameCube. Now, the Twin Snakes version I'm going to start with. That game was a little too easy. Adding first person made everything about Metal Gear Solid 1, took everything from Metal Gear Solid 1, and made it like 5 times as easier as it should be. Now, Metal Gear Solid 1 was a pretty difficult game. I always play it on either normal or hard, and no matter what, I always get at least one game over, whether it be from dying from the guards or just making a stupid mistake and falling into the lava at the furnace place. But the bosses in Metal Gear Solid 1 are the best of the series, I think. Vulcan Raven, Psycho Mantis, Liquid. I love all the boss battles. They have the best bosses. And, it's just a really addicting game when it comes down to it because, it's a short game. Not really a lot of gameplay. It's less than MGS4, but there's less cutscenes than MGS4, of course. I guess that's all I have to say about Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, on a side note, the 3DS that's supposed to be coming out soon, well, I don't actually know when it's coming out, but Nintendo announced the 3DS, and I heard that Metal Gear Solid 3 is going to be on the 3DS. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's just a different version of Metal Gear Solid 3, like a shortened version. I don't know, but my only question is how in the hell is Konami or Nintendo or whatever going to get Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater to fit on a DS? Well, 3DS may be different from the rest of the DSs, but how? How is that possible? It could barely hold on a PS2. It was that good and long of a game. It had that much data. I just don't understand. I mean, it's a very good thing. I mean, I love Metal Gear Solid. It'd be great if I could bring it everywhere with me on a DS. But I'm just really curious of how it's going to be able to do that. Now, the story of Metal Gear Solid, I think, is really confusing. I get it at first. Metal Gear Solid 3 introduced the story quite well. Metal Gear Solid 1, which happens after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, I guess, there's a nuclear holdup or something. Well, like, nuclear whatever. At Shadow Moses Island, Snake has to stop it, save the world, blah blah blah, prevent a nuclear war. And, I guess that's it. But Metal Gear Solid 2 got really confusing to me. And so did Metal Gear Solid 4. I couldn't really keep up with all the cutscenes and the codec calls in Metal Gear Solid 2 because they overdid it with the codec in Metal Gear Solid 2. But anyways, yeah. Metal Gear Solid, good series. You don't have it, you haven't gotten into it yet. Buy the series, buy the Essential Collection, buy Metal Gear Solid 4. I highly recommend it. I love the series. I always play Metal Gear Solid 3 or 2. But, it's really good series. Go out and buy it if you don't have it. Anyways, this is ChaosSnake29, and I'll see you next time.